Welcome back to our In Dialogue series. Um, my name is Karin Sandstrand. I am the Impact Area Specialist here at the Louisiana Children's Museum. I'm also an educator and a parent coach. With me today, we have Dana Golson. She's a licensed professional counselor and also happens to be the one who kind of turned me into somewhat of a neuroscience nerd. Dana, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Dana Golson. I am the founder of Holistic Counseling. It's a private practice in New Orleans. It uses an integrative approach that connects mind and body. I started out in this neuroscience world and started to understand that in mental health there was a big missing piece for me, and it was how the body and the mind connect to understand our mental experience. And so I took my practice in this direction and thought holistic counseling was a name that really encompassed that ideology. And in the beginning of my profession, I did a lot of play therapy with children. And through that work, it was incredibly rewarding. I think the gap I started to notice was that the children had the skills, were aware of their nervous system, but the adults were not understanding a lot of what we were teaching the children. And so I thought, let me reroute and let me teach parents, teachers, adults, so that they can model this. And it's like a trickle-down effect where the kids learn. And there's still a place for play therapy here, but there's certainly a place for the parents and the adults, because we didn't get an emotional health class growing up. So, you know.
So I actually met you as a client, and being in therapy with you has enriched my life in so many ways. And then our relationship has kind of turned into more of a collaboration because of our shared passion, and me also learning all the things from you and then realizing, like, wait a minute, like I want to teach all my co-teachers this. Wait, I want to teach all the parents this, right? And that's how we have ended up where we are today.
That's right.
So where we are here and talking to you. And so today we're going to be talking about the nervous system and the nervous system reset and how to help your child bounce back. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is the nervous system. We're going to talk about what do we want parents and caretakers to learn about it. We're going to touch on meltdowns, which is always something that people want advice on. Then we're going to talk about the how, and how in the moment, like how can we be there for the child in the moment. And then we're going to also turn into, like, how can we be more proactive and build capacity. Yeah. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to end up with talking a little bit about that this work feels really hard, because it is hard.
Oh, yeah.
So some validation is going to come there. So let's start about what is the nervous system. So, like, in our body, what we learn is the nervous system is our brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves.
Yep. Through more of a mental or emotional understanding, it's a communication superhighway throughout your body where your neural circuits are distinguishing between cues of safety and danger in your environment. And this is unconsciously happening in your body throughout the day. It's happening internally in your emotional state. It's happening externally in what you perceive outside of your body, and also within relationships. Yeah. So it's this concept of neuroception, and this idea that your nervous system state guides your physiology and your psychology.
And your behavior.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Yeah. Their psychology, your behavior, your feelings, your thoughts, all of it, yeah.
So I a lot of times I call it, like, when I talk to kids about it too, it's like your personal surveillance system.
Exactly.
That it has one job, and it's to keep you safe.
That's right.
Now, sometimes if we live under prolonged stress, for instance, our neuroception is going to be off cue.
Yes.
And it's going to pick up cues that of things that are not unsafe and translate them as unsafe.
Yeah. Perceived threats.
Perceived threats. Yeah. So learning how to pick up your signals in your body, and then you can talk to your body, be like, I see you. For instance, let's say you are a parent and you're sitting in the car, you got your kid in the car with you, and they're having big feelings in the back of the car and they start kicking on the seat. Your body is going to go straight into fight flight mode, right?
Yeah, that doesn't feel safe in the car at all.
Does not feel safe. It's like a tiger attacking you. That's how the body is going to pick up that signals. So when you learn about this work, you can be like, okay, this feels dangerous. I am not in danger right now.
That's right.
It's upsetting,
Absolutely.
stressful,
Absolutely.
but I'm not in danger.
That's right. Yeah. Distinguishing between actual threats, the car's about to hit me, and perceived threats, like my seat is physically shaking, like something did hit me because there is a toddler kicking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, let's go. This is why we want people to learn about the nervous system and how it works, right?
Absolutely.
I feel like when we learn about what is actually happening in our bodies, we will not become like slaves to our reactivity.
Absolutely.
We can learn how to respond instead of reacting.
That's right. Yeah. Being emotionally responsive, where you have more of a choice versus conditioned reactions. Because so many of us adults feel emotions as threats.
Yeah.
So many of us were not allowed to feel our feelings. We were punished in our room, I'll give you something to cry about kind of stuff. Or even cute little Christmas songs. You better not pout, you better not cry.
Right.
Yeah. You won't get anything for Christmas if you do. And then we absorbed all those messages as adults. So emotions can feel threatening to us.
So now, like as an adult now, that, and you might teach your children or your students, like all feelings are okay. But still, when these students or children are showing those emotions, it doesn't feel safe in your body.
Yeah.
And so that reminds me of like one of my favorite quotes is Viktor Frankl, who says like there is a space in between stimulus and response. There is a space, and in that space lies your power to choose your response.
Absolutely.
So there's like building this ability to respond and not react.
That's right.
And that only comes with when you get educated and understand and learn about it, right?
That's right. You have to know what's going on in your nervous system states. You have to understand those different states and how they affect your brain and your mental capacity.
Yeah. All right, let's move into meltdowns.
Yeah.
So teachers often call it meltdowns, and parents. There's also other ways to explain a meltdown.
Crash outs, mental breakdown, depending on what generation you're coming from. There's different ways. I think we've all heard this word trigger before. Maybe we don't all understand exactly what's going on in the body when we're triggered, but that is the first indication we're cued to danger. We're triggered out of a feeling of safety into a feeling of danger or threat. And if we don't really know how to get out of there, back to the feeling of calm and safety, then we might melt down, crash out, or break down and just have to go through the emotional experience until our body naturally wears itself out. Because maybe we just don't know how to cope with that flood of emotions. Maybe we're not sure what to do when we're feeling that way.
And I think what I really want for caregivers to understand is that meltdowns are your body's way of trying to keep you safe. And this information that goes through our neuroception does not go through our brain. It's in our body. So it's not a conscious choice to have a meltdown and have these big reactions, right?
No, not at all.
Even like, let's say you're in a situation, if not a meltdown, but having big reactions. Like, let's say you're in a classroom and it's really, really loud in there. And then, like your body is going to perceive a loud room full of people as a threat.
Yeah.
So most students in a classroom are somewhat dysregulated. They're already like moving into like their fight flight mode, right?
Noise stimulation moves us into that.
Yeah.
Feels stressed, overwhelming, threatening.
Right.
Yeah. Especially if we can't use our voice to express that we're having that feeling so that it can guide us towards what we need to feel differently.
Because to be able to understand like I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, I need to regulate myself. To do that, you have to use your prefrontal cortex. And that one is not fully developed until you're in your mid-20s.
Until around 25.
Right.
So they're borrowing our brain's abilities. That's why I do the work with the parents. I want the parents to have those abilities, to have that capacity to be able to show up as a calmer version of themselves, since children are borrowing their calm.
Yeah, so you
For
can
that reason.
choose what kind of a parent or what kind of an educator you are. Yeah, so back to that kid in the classroom and it's getting really loud, and then when that kid just like starts screaming, right? And then the teachers gets upset and they're like, why are you
Yes.
screaming in the classroom? You're not
Yes.
supposed to do that, like we told you, you already know, like language we hear, we already been talking about this. Assuming that this is a behavior that they chose to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting to learn about the difference between um, top down and bottom up behavior. So top down behavior is behavior that is calculated. It's a plan. It has a goal. You're like really thought it through. Bottom up behavior is behavior that is coming through a response from the nervous system.
Yeah.
There's actually research now that shows that about 70 to 80% of the behaviors that you see in a classroom situation is caused by bottom up behavior.
That's right.
So when you then like punish students for this behavior, you're punishing for something they didn't choose to do.
That's exactly right. Because behavior, we're finding out through breakthroughs in neuroscience, is not a choice. It's not a good or a bad choice that a child's making. It's a symptom of the nervous system state. So when a child is dysregulated and maybe they're going into fight flight and they're biting, kicking, screaming, it's really hard to understand that that's not against you, that they're not trying to attack you and take that personally, like as something hurtful. When you understand that the child is in fight flight, that they feel threatened and they're not sure how to get out of that threat response to protect themselves, then we don't take it as personal to mean disrespect or you're not listening, like as if it's a choice of some kind, when in reality it is a symptom of a nervous system state that's letting us know, if we're lucky, what we need to get back to our safe, calm space.
Yeah.
But we would need this kind of information,
Right.
to get there.
Okay, so here's another thing that I think a lot of parents and educators are still learning is that a child is 100% dependent on to borrow from a grown-up's nervous system.
That's right.
To be able to regulate.
That's right.
Like if you want a child to calm down and then you have them disconnected from you or for the situation and then they turn quiet, it's not because they've calmed down.
Not necessarily, yeah.
Not necessarily.
It may look like it.
Yeah.
We have to then learn how to determine the difference between shut down, freeze, disengage, to I've calmed down. And we want to pay attention to some of the symptomologies of what freeze, shut down versus calm looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, that saying when people are like, well, I went through something really hard, that's so accurate, right? You taught me that. Like, you actually have to feel all the feelings to go through them.
Yeah, you have to go through emotional pain.
Yeah. You
That's
can't
tough.
learn to regulate an emotion you're not allowed to feel.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It has to, we have to try to allow it without judgment, and that's hard. It's easier said
Yeah.
than done.
So hard.
When there is this idea of it's good or bad, or you are good or bad.
Yeah.
Instead of this idea that this is signaling a feeling of distress and a need to feel safe again.
Yeah. All right, so I feel like here it would be natural for us to move into the how.
Yes.
So now we're talking about how to help your child bounce back when they're in an emotional flood. So a meltdown is they're flooded with emotions,
In this case, maybe they're screaming.
screaming. Another thing about meltdowns, though, like there is no talking. You can't reason with a meltdown, right? They don't have access, literally don't have access to their thinking brain when they're in a meltdown.
That's right.
So what needs to happen is that you have to first connect with them, and the way that we do that, we always start with one thing, which is the pause.
That's right. I think that before we can connect with them, we have to connect with ourselves. So slowing down is such an important part of getting out of a reaction. We want to slow down and pause and just notice maybe in our own body where we're feeling it. Like, is my stomach hurting? Is my heart racing? Is my head throbbing? And if I have a child next to me dysregulated and screaming, I might feel this in my head. So I might just take a minute to note, like, ooh, I'm feeling overwhelmed myself with this. My child's having big feelings. Now I'm having big feelings. And maybe I can't even get to what I'm feeling, but I just know that my chest is tight. So I have my hand there and I'm just breathing, not in any particular way. I'm just noticing my breath in and out, really trying to get out of my head and making this mean something or taking it personal, and really get into my body that I am experiencing an emotional sensation and I'm experiencing it maybe right here or right here. And I want to connect to my own self. I mean, the child's screaming. I can't really do anything right now anyway with them. The best I can do to help them is to calm myself down. If I can calm myself down, and they're borrowing my calm, then right there, magic is already happening in the nervous system connect and co-regulation, which we'll talk about.
I want to point out, though, that we pause because we need to self-regulate before we co-regulate, right? But self-regulate, I want to point out that it doesn't actually mean to be calm.
That's right.
If you're in a situation and you're with your child and they're screaming, being self-regulated, meaning that you are aware of being dysregulated.
That's right. You're aware you're not calm.
Yeah.
You're aware that you have left your own calm self, because it's very hard to stay calm when another person is not calm. It's one of the hardest things we do is to differentiate nervous systems. Wait, that's not mine. Mine wasn't the one.
Yeah.
Mine, I'm okay over here. I'm not the one who didn't get a chocolate chip in my cookie. I'm okay. Yeah.
And the reason that we ask that of our grown-ups is because we do have the prefrontal cortex. Right. So you can remind yourself when you take the pause and be like, "Whew, I feel overwhelmed right now." That's my go-to. Touch my chest and I go with overwhelmed because it's hard for me to find all the different words.
It's like
the
90 feelings, right?
So I just go with, I'm overwhelmed right now. And right there is my regulation because
You're
I'm
acknowledging
aware.
yourself.
And I acknowledge myself.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you come to that point, that is when you go into attuning to the child.
Yeah, once maybe you can calm down and the child is calming down with you because of that borrowed calm, then we can do something called attunement, which is to try to first attune to my own emotion. Maybe I'm like, ooh, that was hard. That felt really hard for us, huh? Notice I felt worried about you. You looked overwhelmed, or if your child doesn't have the feelings word, maybe we're still building feelings words. It's helpful to have a poster or a pillow of some kind. I have a pillow in my room, as you know, that has all like the wheel of emotions. I think, like you say, it's so hard to get to what you're feeling. Sometimes it's helpful to have like a corner in the home, a feelings corner, or a space where you can. Yeah, I think you talked about having one of those in your classroom.
Yeah,
too.
always. But when it comes to like in the moment now, when the child is having his big thing, and then you take the pause, you self-regulate, and then the way I look at attunement is that you create this place for the child's feelings to land, right? Attunement is this like feeling of feeling felt.
Oh yeah,
right?
It's called emotional safety.
Yeah.
It's a safe place for emotions where there's no shame or judgment.
Yeah.
We call that emotional availability.
So for me as a teacher, what it looks like is that I always go down on a child's level and eye contact. I normally often do a soft touch. Not all children like that.
Right.
You know your own child.
Yeah.
I like to call it low, slow, and soft. You soften your features. Depending on the height of the emotions, I might not use any words. There might not be time for words. It's just for them to attune to to see that, okay, I have a place for my feelings to land. And a lot of time, just having that feeling just takes away a lot of the urgency of a situation. And then I will sit down with a child and breathe.
Be present.
Be present.
Connect.
Just sit there. Yeah.
That's right. Connect to you, connect to them, and be present. We don't always have to have words. Words can be nice, but sometimes we just want presence with our feelings that says it's okay to feel it. I'm not going to run away from them. You don't need to run away from them. We're just going to sit here and make space for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then when you see that your child is starting to breathe slower, that's when you can gently come with some language that I always use is, I hear you. Or that was hard. Try to avoid questions at this moment.
They could be overwhelming.
Yeah. We're just going to be, I hear you.
Yeah.
That was really hard.
Yeah.
You know? And then when you see that they're open for now you're reconnected again, right?
Re-engaging.
That's when you can use those emotional tools that you might have found with your kids before, the things that you know that your kid likes to do, right? Be like, are you ready to do your tiger breaths? Are you ready to do your, there can be like, move your body.
Yeah.
Are you ready to do the 3-3-3? Just like
grounding.
a grounding, where you name 3 things that you see,
That's right.
3 things that you hear, 3 things that you can feel. All of these kind of like regulation strategies.
Coping skills, yeah.
Yeah. They have in common that it helps you get out of your brain and back into your body.
And right, because sometimes your brain is what makes things feel unsafe.
Yeah.
We call it the invisible lion.
Yeah.
Just you're judging yourself, chasing yourself, or misunderstanding yourself, creating more of a feeling of overwhelm.
Yeah. When it comes to language, one more thing that I would like to share is something that I do a lot when I work with children, and that's called mirror language, where I kind of just repeat back what they said.
Oh, sure. Reflective listening,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes.
So if they were like, I wanted an ice cream, you say, you wanted ice cream. I hear you. That was really hard. I want an ice cream now. Yeah, you want an ice cream now, right? And I think it's interesting to think about when you set a boundary with a child. The next natural step is for the child to give pushback. And that does not mean that the child is being disrespectful. It's in our nature to push back.
It is. It's their job a
Yeah.
little bit to find that line and where it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of the meltdowns that you see in a relationship with a child is that you set a boundary and they say, no, I don't want to do that. And then you double down on the boundary. Like you get really forceful instead of then going back and attuning again to the feeling.
To the
You're like,
feeling.
I hear you. You don't want to do that.
It feels
was-
disappointing not to
that
get
was
ice
hard,
cream. Yeah.
But the boundary is still there. But you're attuned to it. And when it comes to attunement, the magic in being able to attune is to understand that you are attuning to the emotion, not to the behavior that
right.
caused it.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. That's
When-
where we feel seen.
Right.
For the emotion.
So when you attune to the feeling that you see and not the behavior, like you're going to lower your child's stress levels.
Absolutely.
You're going to lower your own stress levels because you're kind of sidestepping that whole power struggle that was happening because you can't deal with what caused it right now. You have to just deal with the feelings that are there.
Because they're happening right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
And then you do, your attunement, you do your eye level, and then after you have taken your breathing, and then your 3-3-3, then you can go back and be like, whoa,
Validate.
what happened there?
That's right.
That was hard.
Validate both of our experiences together, maybe even model. I felt really concerned when you got that overwhelmed and weren't sure what to do.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some strategies, some things that maybe have worked for me when I'm overwhelmed or maybe that I've heard about.
And also depending on the age, having a plan for it. Like maybe you come home and then you'll eat a little dinner and you can go be like, when we were in the store earlier and you got really upset, what did you need from me right then? Like teaching your child to understand the connection between the emotions and the needs.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so important. That's
Common
how we
plan for it.
create mental order.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we can't make those connections in my profession, you'd be considered disordered.
Yeah.
Yeah, out of order.
All right. I think also when we talk about helping a child bounce back, bounce back to what, right? And I think going back to what we talked about of understanding that bouncing back and helping a children calm down doesn't mean just to be quiet. You want the child to find back to their inner safety.
That's right.
Right.
That's
And
right.
that happens when you feel seen and heard.
That's exactly
so
right. It's
not-
emotional safety
Right.
versus physical. We're so familiar with physical safety.
Yeah.
I think this is the neuroscience tie-in is this idea of emotional safety, of psychological
Yeah.
safety. And our body will act the same when we're either physically or psychologically
Yeah.
activated. And that's why we'll call it the invisible lion often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think here it feels natural for us to go into, like we talked a little bit about like what we can do in the moment when your child is having a very hard time. Now let's talk a little bit about like building the capacity, right? Being proactive in this work. We're going to talk a little bit about like the value of teaching children what is happening in their body when they're having an emotional flood. We're going to mention two here today. Would you like to?
Introduce the.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are trying to make this stuff easily digestible. So for kids, we have these two different models that we use to help them understand these pretty adult concepts. I mean, I think this helps adults too. We have Daniel Siegel's hand model, and that is of the brain, right? So we're talking about spinal cord, brain stem, limbic system, emotional brain, where we're sort of scanning for the cues of safety and danger. Then we have frontal cortex, prefrontal cortex. So this is where we connect with others in the world when we feel safe. This is where we think, learn, and emotionally regulate. And when we feel triggered or threatened, we flip our lid and we lose access to this part of the brain. This part of the brain goes offline, as they say. And so now we're left a little more impulsive, a little more emotional, and dysregulated. And if our fight-flight responses don't help us feel safe or protected, then we shut down, disengage. And in polyvagal theory, we sort of move down a ladder, as they say, right? So and I'll sort of incorporate the hand model and this together to kind of bring it all full circle. In the polyvagal understanding, in this ladder, we have our ventral vagal, which is our connected social, our owl, wise brain, right? Everything's connected. We can regulate. We have our thinking, learning brain connected. So we're the wise owl. And if we get threatened and cue danger, we go into our tiger brain, our fight flight brain. We feel scared. We are ready to, we're going to bite, kick, yell, run away are some of the behaviors you'll see. And then if none of that serves for us to feel safe, we'll just shut down and go into our dorsal vagal, shut down, go numb, completely disengage. And so what we're learning today is how to bring the brain back together to create a calm, safe thinking brain, our owl brain, and to teach kids how to get out of, how to be aware of a turtle brain, how to move up the ladder to the tiger brain, and how to get into our calm, safe brain. And so that's why we think it's so important to teach kids and parents about these different concepts so that they can understand what's going on internally, and then that helps us feel secure inside, that we know how to take care of ourselves.
So when it comes to the hand model of the brain, I wanted to share, I've been teaching this to children. I taught it to 3 and 4-year-olds, and I taught it to recently kindergarten up to 2nd grade. And understanding that they can use this as a tool to communicate when they are feeling overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And like all the times I will have students, I can see them in the room and they see me and they go like this. And I was like, okay, they need to regulate, to be able to communicate that. It's so lovely.
It's like, when have we had language, right? To communicate to it where I don't even need a word. Yeah. You just see my hand up and you know I am overwhelmed or dysregulated or feeling triggered, whatever word they resonate with, and how to get back to this place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you now know they need something from you. They need your help.
Okay, so that is like how you can teach it in the body, but also there's a daily practice that can happen with you building this capacity to strengthen your owl brain, right?
Yeah, that's right.
To get your lid back on, and that is things like doing daily breathing, like wake up in the morning, take a deep breath, go to bed at night, take a deep breath. Make it part of
your routine.
Make it part of your routine. Normalize talking about emotions.
Absolutely.
Have emotional check-ins at home, at your house. Teaching, practicing mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
There's
non-judgment.
Lots of good, information on that out there.
Yeah.
playfulness.
That's so, so important.
So important. When we are grown-ups and children are in play, it helps our brain, our brain to
naturally come back. Yeah, I know. And it's tough because to make a game out of things that feel stressful can be hard. But if we can self-regulate, we will be more able to access the creative brain.
Like going back to the car, let's say your child has a hard time getting into the driver's seat or into the, car seat.
Yeah.
Walk backwards to the car. I wonder if we can go walk backwards to the car right now. Like small little things like that.
Yeah.
For a child's nervous system to
reset.
To reset.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're gonna close out with some validation.
Yeah.
I wanted to say what really important to understand is that rupture in any relationship is going to happen. It's a part of our human experience. It doesn't matter how wonderful relationship you have with your child or with your student. There's going to be rupture.
It won't be perfect. That's
No, and actually they call it the rupture repair cycle. That's when you have a rupture in your relationship and then you repair it and then now you're back to connection. That cycle is what creates a strong, safe relationship.
That's right.
Not having ruptures.
Oh yeah, that's not even realistic,
So
right?
making yourself a repair pro.
That's right.
Is how you're going to handle that.
Yeah.
And how you're going to help your child's nervous system and your own nervous system with learning how to repair.
Yeah, it's like a simple, I'm so sorry I yelled at you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it that way. What if I would have been able to find my calm, which I'm still working on,
Yeah.
I would have said it this way.
Or even in the middle of it and be like, wait, that came out wrong. Can I have a do-over?
Yeah, if you're lucky enough to be that aware, yes.
Yeah.
That would be,
That means
Yeah,
you
that's
had
the
you had
ideal.
the pause in there.
yeah, that's the ideal scenario, is to catch up in real time, to see yourself, to create, to build that awareness of self. Oh, I've hurt my child's feelings and I know I didn't mean to do that. And to take responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, I think we can all agree that someone in a relationship taking responsibility for hurting your feelings feels so seen, safe, psychologically felt and heard. Yeah.
And then the last thing is to remind parents and caregivers that learning all of this can feel really overwhelming because we've been taught for so many years how to respond to behaviors, and it has to be like controlled or shut down, and you're not allowed to feel your feelings, and all of this can create a kind of like a lot of shame.
Yes. And that was the one takeaway that I really wanted to build into, is this idea, and I see it a lot in the therapy room. I think it's pretty normal of us to go out into the world and learn all this new stuff and then go back and judge past us for not using any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, you can start to build into your skill right then and there. Ooh, I'm feeling ashamed of not doing this in the past. Oh, God must really love my child because I wish I'd have been doing this the whole time. And we can't do what we don't know yet, right? We can only do what we know. And so we're immediately wanting to give ourselves grace that we just learned some of these concepts ourselves as an adult. I'm still learning, shoot, and I teach this stuff.
Me too. Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. I guess if I have like a takeaway that I want people to take from this is two things, is to understand that a dysregulated adult can't help regulate a dysregulated child. So that pause, you know. And then let's see what I had. Okay. And then to understand that when you attune, you're going to attune to the feeling and not the behavior.
Yes, that's
to
so
get away from
important.
like the narrative about what happened.
That's right.
So it has to come from the body up, right?
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Well, this has been such a pleasure.
I
You know how
know.
excited I get to share this information and nerd out with you a little bit.
I know. We have had a good time preparing for this
We
too.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming to this session, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.